for joining, and welcome to the webinar series. Today we will be chatting about everything that you should know about PMP and CAPM certifications. My name is Seshne Govender. There will be a point in the presentation where there will be, a chance for you to ask any questions. So as we go through the presentation, you're welcome to make note of that. And then, I'll answer at that point in the presentation. So perhaps some of your questions may be answered as we go through the presentation as well. Okay, so I think let's kick off. Okay, so just a little bit about myself. I was actually I am a founder and director of Fundamental Project Management. I have over 15 years of experience being both a program manager as well as a project manager. I manage numerous large successful deliveries, normally with complex IT components to them, in multiple sectors such as the financial services, telecommunications and retail sectors in South Africa. This journey has provided me, I would say, with some invaluable experience along my project management career path. Funnily enough, I actually started my career as an engineer, having studied chemical engineering in South Africa. But as you go through your career, you find your passion, and I found my passion to definitely be projects in the banking industry. And while working there, I worked in diverse roles. So I've done process engineering, business analysis, project management, and then finally program management, right? And it's been a career path that has provided me many years of joy. And I am quite passionate, therefore, about training and coaching and mentoring people along the project management career path. I have multiple certifications also from PMI. I've managed to obtain the PMP, which is the Program Management Certification. I've got my PMP for a number of years. I'm also an authorized training partner with PMI. And I've also got, from a disciplined agile perspective, both the disciplined agile Scrum Master as well as the senior Scrum Master certifications. Okay. So, in this session, we will be covering, as I mentioned, the PMP and CAPM certifications. We'll go through clarity, eligibility for the certifications, and general know-how about the certifications. Okay, so key takeaways or what you would be able to gain from the session. So you'll know what can PMI certification do for you, why the project talent is still in demand today. We'll discuss some things around salary and project management salaries. We'll talk about the CAPM versus the PMP. We'll go through some PMI statistics. We'll do PMP and CAPM exam essentials. We'll plot a timeline and a roadmap. We'll go through some frequently asked questions, and then we'll do a little snippet about what's coming in the next webinar. Okay. So jumping right into it, what can PMI certifications then do for you, right? Firstly, in terms of credibility, okay, it does provide credibility because it provides an unbiased view and a reliable view that actually validates your domain knowledge and your experience. PMI has actually provided the certification for the past 50 years, and therefore it is a globally recognized leader. It's transferable that means that the PMI certification is not tied to any specific methodology, industry, or region. So you can move and adapt with your career with the PMI certification. It definitely provides you with a competitive advantage because you are definitely more marketable. And many certification holders definitely have or achieve salary increases, career advancement opportunities, and employer recognition. From a commitment perspective, it does emphasize your commitment to your professional career growth. By earning and maintaining the PMI certification, you continue to develop your knowledge in the field and increase your skills and your abilities. It allows you to remain relevant in the field because you demonstrate your relevance with the certifications, as the certifications are developed by practitioners like myself, and they uphold rigorous standards, and it's based on ongoing research and always reflects current industry practices. And that's how you will remain relevant also in the field. Okay. So why project talent is still in demand today? So despite, the disruption and the uncertainty in the world and the environment today, project professionals do continue to have strong opportunities to advance their careers. With the global recession and GDP gains forecasted to slow in nearly all countries, plus economic growth having a decreasing trend, many companies are buckling up to respond to the downturn. But when they look at the available resources, we still see a serious shortage of talent. And therefore, project managers are definitely still relevant in the market, and there's definitely quite a lot of opportunities to grow. So PMI identifies 3 reasons for the persistence of the talent gap. Okay, the first one is we find that there's an increase in the number of jobs requiring project management orientated skills. So the demand is growing. There's higher demand for project professionals in the emerging and developing countries due to their economic growth. And we also find that the rate of retirement from the workforce, is actually creating this gap. So looking into the future, we find that the global economy needs 25 million new project professionals by 2030. So that's definitely very good for us. We'll need 2.3 million people to enter project management orientated employment every year. There's potential job opportunities also for project managers and all change makers. Okay. So the future is looking pretty good for the project management field. Okay, so we'll move now from maybe a more individual basis to chat a little bit more about organizations and how will organizations retain millennials and Generation Z employees. So a millennial is anybody that is born between 1981 and 1996. And we find that Generation Z is anyone, post that point. So it's basically the younger workforce. So what is driving talent retention from a company perspective, or what do people want, right, from their careers? So to earn the satisfaction and the trust of top project professionals, we find that organizations need to align with their work preferences and priorities. So the top reasons, as we can see on the slide, is a good work-life balance. So that's pretty key. A good salary or other financial benefits. Opportunities to progress, grow, earn leadership roles. So grow your career. Learning and development opportunities, having a positive workplace culture, okay, and I think quite importantly, it's to derive a sense of meaning from the work, right? So that's definitely with these items going to make you quite happy in your role in a company? So moving on, I think, to an item that would be quite interesting to most, which is the project management salary and the current scenarios that we have in the world. Okay. So what are the factors that drive project management salaries? And geographical and economical factors. Okay, and quite interesting is that we find that the median salary for project managers that hold a PMP certification is actually 16% higher compared to those that don't have the certification. Okay, and this is research that has been done. Okay, so looking at general project management salaries and how that is affected by your location. So depending on the country that you originate from or working in, these are the top 10 countries that offer project management salaries, or we can say actually the highest sort of project management salaries will actually be in these countries that we've listed on the slide. Okay, so I'll just give you a chance to look through them. Okay, and then moving on, this is some of the feedback that we've received so far in terms of the project management salaries, or the benchmarks or averages that we found for the different roles. So we find that a project management trainee actually can earn a salary of about $67,000. A project manager, $78,000. A senior project manager is sitting at about $104,000. A project coordinator, which is about $53,000. A PMO manager, a PMO analyst, which is about $93,000, and then a PMO manager, if you decide that's your career path, you're looking at about $150,000 US. So I'd say this is like a fairly good salary for the career path, right? So you can definitely see that as you move up the ladder from a project management career path perspective, there's definitely opportunity to grow also from a salary perspective. Okay, so if we move on now and let's discuss the certifications. Okay, so CAPM versus PMP. So how do you know which one to choose? So if you've got project management experience leading projects already, I would say that you should try to strive for a PMP. Or if you're just starting out, you want to enter the project management field, then a CAPM certification would be quite suitable to allow you entry into the field to grow your career. Okay, so the project management professional, right? So the project management professional, or PMP as it's called, is definitely the world's leading project management certification. The new curriculum includes both predictive, agile, as well as hybrid approaches to project management. It definitely proves project leadership experience and expertise in any way of working. Okay? And it definitely supercharges careers for project leaders across industries, and definitely helps organizations to find the people they need in order to work smarter and perform better. So that's the reason people look for project managers that have a PMP certification. So a certified associate in project management, or CAPM as we call it. So a CAPM demonstrates definitely that they possess the knowledge in the principles of project management, both the fundamentals and the core concepts. They understand and have knowledge of the predictive, which is, or previously called, or is called, plan-based methodologies. agile frameworks or methodologies, and definitely business analysis frameworks, right? So that's the new curriculum for the CAPM exam. And earners here are able to apply the knowledge to on-the-job experiences that develop growing levels of competence in the practice of project management, right? So it sets you up as a good base in order to move forward in your career. So from a stats perspective, so this is basically stats that has been pulled out from PMI. It shows the number of people that have attained the certification so far. As we can see, the top two certifications, definitely the PMP and the CAPM. So because of the large number of people that actually have the PMP certification, you can definitely see it is now a standard, right? It is something that is expected, I think, of a project manager. Okay, so next we'll talk about the exam essentials, such as the eligibility, okay, eligibility requirements, and then we'll just have a discussion about the roadmap. So from a PMP exam criteria, eligibility criteria, if you have a 4-year degree, okay, PMI expects that you have 36 months of experience leading projects within the last 8 years of your career. And in addition to that, you need 35 hours of project management education or training. If you have a CAPM certification or you've obtained that already, then it can be used as your education requirements for your PMP. Okay. If you have a high school diploma or an associate's degree, you'll require 60 months of experience leading projects within the past 8 years of your career. You would also need the 35 hours of project management education or training, or the CAPM certification for the education requirements. Okay. So moving on to CAPM, eligibility criteria. So here, if you have a secondary degree, such as a high school diploma or general education or GED, you would need 23 contact hours of project management education to be completed before the exam. And there is a cost that PMI also has to be able to fulfill the education requirement, which is on the screen. So basically, as you can see, the difference is for CAPM, there isn't any experience required. It's just the project management training that you would need before you take that exam. Okay. So this timeline is a timeline that shows the journey, right? From the time that you do your application to the time of recertification. So let's go through them. So from a timeline perspective, okay, from the time you start your application on the PMI website, you have 90 days to complete your application once you have started it. Okay. Then once you click submit, PMI would take about 5 to 7 days to be able to review the application. Within that time period, there is a small amount of randomly selected applications that go through an audit process. So if you are chosen for your audit process or for the audit process, you would have 90 days to send through your audit material. PMI will explain what is required from you and what you need to submit in order for in order for them to check and to audit your application. Okay, so once that's completed, and we do expect approvals after that stage, so we'll stick on the happy path. Once that's approved, and then you pay your, you do your payment for your exam, you can then schedule your exam. Okay, so from the time your application is approved, you have 1 year in order to take the exam. In that 1 year, you are given 3 attempts to pass the exam. Okay, however, on each attempt, so your second attempt and your third attempt, there will be a fee associated again. Okay. So once you then pass your exam, okay, you'll enter the certification cycle. Okay, and to maintain your certification, you would need, if you are a CAPM certification holder, you will need to get 15 PDUs. If you are a PMP certification holder, then you would need to obtain 60 PDUs. And PDUs are called professional development units. We'll discuss in a little bit the ways that you can earn PDUs. Okay, so here in this slide, I just wanted to explain the certification renewal process. So in order to maintain your certificate after 3 years, right? So your credential would need to be renewed every 3 years. Within that 3 years, you would need to get 15 PDUs if you are a CAPM certification holder, 60 PDUs if you are a PMP certification holder. And once you have that, it's called in the continuous certification repository, then you will be able to renew your certification. Okay, if you don't do that and you don't earn those PDUs, your credential then will get suspended. So that occurs on the 3rd anniversary of the day you pass the exam. Okay, if you haven't fulfilled the continuing certification requirements. So until the certification is renewed, you will not be able to use the CAPM or the PMP designation. Okay. If within that year that your certification is suspended, you do not do the renewal, then unfortunately your credential then reaches expiration. It occurs at the end of the suspension period. And if you would then want to hold the certification, you actually need to go through the whole application process. That is, apply for the certification, sit the exam. Okay, so I wouldn't suggest, after doing the hard work of obtaining the certifications, to let the certification expire. Okay, so ways that you can obtain the PDUs as discussed. So as mentioned, 15 PDUs for CAPM, 60 PDUs for PMP. So just by doing your daily job, okay, it's called working in the profession, you are able to claim PDUs associated with that. There is a cap on them, but you can earn PDUs from there. You can attend training courses, virtual or instructor-led. You can attend webinars. There's also a number of volunteering that you can do in the PM community. There's also reading of books. So if you're an avid reader, you should also be able to claim PDUs. So just discussing ways that you can fulfill the project management education or the training requirement. There are instructor-led, both physical or virtual classes, depending on your preference, that you can attend. There's also self-paced online courses. So if you don't have the time during working hours, you can actually do a self-paced online course. And there is also opportunity, if you've completed a project management course, either at a university or a college, you will be able to check with the PMI, if it would meet the 35-hour training requirement. So you can pop a message to PMI and they will be able to come back to you on that. Okay, so now we're going to enter or discuss some frequently asked questions that we found most people ask. So the one that is on everybody's mind, I'm sure at the moment, that wants to take the CAPM exam is, what does the new exam consist of, and information around that. So we're going to cover this now. So the current exam, or the current CAPM exam, can be taken until the 24th of July this year. The new exam will replace the current exam, okay, on the 25th of July. And when updating your training materials, please make sure that you do look at the new exam content outline. If you have studied the new content and would like to take the exam a bit sooner, the new exam, there is the CAPM pilot that is running, so you can actually sit for the new exam if you wish. Okay, so as we discussed, the CAPM pilot exam is available from the 16th of May, or was available from the 16th of May to the 24th of July. And the new certification exam, it encompasses 4 domain areas. Okay, the first one is your project management fundamentals and core concepts. That makes up 36% of the exam. Predictive plan-based methodologies consists of 17% of the exam. Agile frameworks or methodologies contributes 20% to the exam. And then we've also got business analysis frameworks, which is now contributing 27% of the exam. The new exam will include 150 questions. 135 of them is generally scored or is scored as part of the exam, and you have 15 unscored questions. The length of the exam is 3 hours. Okay, and you can schedule for your exam on the Pearson VUE website. So what are the pros and cons of having a PMP certification? I think one of the big pros is definitely, if we see a PMP certified project manager versus a non-certified project manager, there has been extensive research done, and we find that a PMP certified project manager earns a 16% higher salary. We also find that it provides greater opportunities because companies do allow certified project manager to run the larger projects in the organization. Therefore, you gain better experience in the journey of your career. Okay, the cons is the certification does cost some money, and it does take time and effort, okay, to study for the exam. But I think in most experience of people that have gone through the journey of getting the certifications, I think the costs involved as well as the time and effort, okay, is far outweighed by the benefits that you get as part of your career going forward. Okay, so the next frequently asked question is, why does the PMP certification require 3 years of experience in project management? I think it's a good question, a fair one as well, for most people striving to get the experience to sit the exam. Okay, so according to PMI, right, it states that the PMP certification, it proves project leadership experience and expertise in any way of working. Okay. So to pass the exam, as a candidate, you should have the necessary experience to answer the situational type questions in the exam. And in order to do that, you should also have experience in all phases of the project, right? And generally speaking, looking at the time frame that a project manager would have all of these, ticked, is generally around the 3-year mark. And therefore, PMI has used 3 years as the benchmark for the PMP or project management experience. And I would say after the 3 years of experience and having the necessary, ways of working, you will provide yourself a fair chance to pass the exam. Okay, so what's the point of getting a PMP certification? Okay, and what can you do with it? And do employers take it seriously? So these are some of the questions that are coming through. People wanting to do the PMP, so these are the types of questions. So I would say definitely yes. Okay, employers definitely highly regard a PMP certification. So we find that all job specifications for project managers state the PMP certification as preferred. Both recruiters and companies, they actually use it as a shortlisting technique. So if you are PMP certified, you're more likely to get hired because you will be able to pass the necessary screenings that are done before your application actually reaches an employer, okay, or an organization. Your PMP certification also shows the hiring organization as well as your team. You know, if you actually land the position, it shows your team that you qualify to manage complex projects. So they have a little bit more faith in your abilities. Okay, and by having the PMP certification, you definitely earn the experience and expertise to manage projects successfully. You can definitely command a higher salary. And yes, definitely we found employers do seek project managers holding a PMP certification. Okay, and then what are the key useful ideas one can learn from doing the PMP certification? So currently the current exam has 3 domains. Okay, so the first domain is the people domain. So this has all the skills required to lead and motivate the project team throughout the project, something that's definitely key in all projects. You learn about the process domain, how to determine the best way of working for your project. That is whether you're going to do predictive, whether agile is more suited, or whether a hybrid approach is more suited for your project. And then the business environment. So how your project aligns and affects the organizational and the strategic goal. So definitely aligning that, to the organizational goals, so you'll be able to understand how your project, contributes to your organization's journey. Okay, so next question. I am currently in IT and I don't have experience with project management. Can I take up the PMP certification and continue my future as a project manager? So answer to this question is, the PMP certification, it definitely requires experience in project management. And if you don't have that experience just yet, another very valuable certification is the CAPM certificate. Definitely more suitable if you don't have the experience currently. The certification will provide you definitely the necessary knowledge. You'll be able to, speak or talk the talk, as we say, to be able to enter the field, gain the experience in the project management field. And once you've come to the point where you've, managed projects through all the life cycle or through the life cycle of a project, then I would say, and if you, meet the eligibility criteria for the PMP certification, then you'll definitely, you know, be able to then continue to take the PMP certificate. Okay, so I think now is a good time for us to be able to see if anybody has any questions. When is the new PMP exam or update due? So the PMP exam, the new content is actually already live. It went live before the CAPM exam. So the new content, which is the 3 domains that you know that we've mentioned in the presentation, so those already form part of the exam. So yeah, so that's already gone live. I hope I've answered that question. And then I think the next question is PMP equivalent to MBA, and share your experience? So definitely, I think for this one, very dependent, I think, on what you would like to do as part of your career. I think the MBA, definitely most people do find it beneficial, you know, if they would like to go onto the business side or business management particularly. However, if you'd like to stay within, you know, the PM field, you know, your heart is in managing projects, bringing in change in the organization, you know, managing that transformation journey. Actually, if you actually like being part of the transformation, seeing new things happen, then I would definitely say PMP would be beneficial for you. I would say that, you know, if you want to then grow your career, I would then say maybe PGMP rather than MBA. So that's basically been my experience. I know at one point I was also at that point, do I now do an MBA? Do I continue with the project management certifications? And definitely in my research and checking, you know, with various people, you know, I've chosen to do the PGMP at the end of the day. It does provide you better understanding, better ways to be able to do that work properly. Next question is, how many hours of preparation or daily commitment required for attempting the exam? So I'm not sure if you're talking CAPM or PMP, but you know, I'd give the PMP maybe answer on the PMP, since it is a bit more from a volume perspective. So for the PMP, generally people who take the exam, they put in about 100 hours of effort. I would say that you would need to, you know, in experience and doing the work for the various certifications, I would say definitely 2 to 3 hours on a daily basis. You definitely need to make a daily commitment to yourself to be able to, you know, concentrate, go through the material, make sure you're covering everything from the ECO, doing your practice questions. So that I would say to benchmark about 100 hours, definitely daily commitment. It also helps you get into the routine, you know, to be able to set the time aside. And by doing that, you actually then, you know, at the end of the journey, you do feel a little bit more confident than if you were not to do this on a daily basis, you know. So I would definitely say daily commitment. That's how I have managed and done the work there. Okay. So some exciting things to come. I think in our next session, we will be discussing the exam pattern, the application process, and study materials. So I think that's quite exciting. please join the next webinar as well. Okay, so in session 2, a little bit more detail. So we'll just recap a little bit about what we've done in this session. We'll talk about the roles, entry-level PM versus senior-level PM, a bit about the career roadmap, okay, the panel review as well as the application process. We'll talk about PMP and CAPM, some statistical analysis, some exam preparation tips, okay. We'll go through some of the domains and the tasks for both PMP and CAPM, some syllabus or the changes in the syllabus and the trends. Okay, so total questions asked in PMP and CAPM exam, go into that a bit of detail. Study materials and books to be referred, definitely something quite important to come through, to listen to. Sample exam type questions and how you'll be able to answer that. We'll do a little bit more about frequently asked questions, so we'll share a little bit more about that. Okay, and then also the upcoming session roadmap in that session, as we've done with this one. Okay, and the dates of the upcoming sessions. So, you know, make a note of this in your calendar. I'd like for you to attend these sessions as well. Okay, and so this is my contact details. So if you'd like to get a hold of me, that's my email address and my cell number. You're welcome to pop me a note. And, you know, I'm happy to have a discussion or help you with any questions. I also just wanted to, you know, remind the people that have attended the call that there is a 50% discount on training courses for both the PMP and the CAPM. So if you'd like to, you know, do those courses, you're welcome to contact me. So I think that's the end of our presentation, and I'd just like, you know, to thank everyone for attending. It was quite nice to have this time to spend with you. And, you know, if you need anything, I'm always here, so you're welcome to contact me. Thank you very much for joining.